I don't know where to start. There's an epic story going on inside my head at all times. And it's difficult to concentrate on any particular train of thought. I've tried writing things down as they come to me on a journal. I've tried making voice notes like this. I've even tried making videos because I'm aware that if in time there becomes an audience, people are curious to listen, then they've got something to see and people want to connect by looking at faces, so I have to show mine. And it's also the same process of in order for me to get out my thoughts, make them public, have conversations, reach out to others, talk about things, very personal things and very universal things, meaningful things, deep things, scary things. It's that need that I'm talking about, that I'm always feeling. I'm always feeling that I'm not quite whole because I've managed to isolate myself and keep myself in a state of loneliness is a consequence. It's more I have kind of disappeared away in my own little world to try and figure things out and to explore what's going on within. It's like my own method of problem solving and therapy and patience and self-awareness. And all of this leads back to a project that I've been working on for a long time, and I've named it Resource. And this project is a documentation of my own journey going within. And not just within, it's also being acutely aware of how I feel, how I experience things, how I am perceived in the external world. So that can be outside my body and outside my mind. And I'm aware of what's going on inside as well. And if it's all happening at the same time, it can be quite overwhelming. So a lot of the time I prefer to just have peace and have enough freedom of time, of space, of sound, of behavior. If I am able to go away into a little cave and listen to the sounds of nature and be allowed to just be in my own presence, be there for myself, and identify who am I at any given moment? What kind of things am I telling myself? What stories am I believing in? What is my imagination saying? What's my body saying? What's my mind saying? What is my identity, myself, my ego? What is he saying? And then, if the observer has another quality themselves, who is observing? Who is in the background? Who is staying silent or not being heard? So this observer might be another form of you, another perspective, another persona within. Or it could just be a neutral, humanless form, a spirit, a higher self. But I believe like when we are allowed the tranquility to just let our thoughts go, and if we capture it, maybe we'll capture some real truth, because we might not think and feel the same way at any given time. We fluctuate up and down. And sometimes those fluctuations can be really steep and really quick. And that kind of higher frequency of living is something that I've been experiencing increasingly. And it can be in a negative state and a positive state and any kind of other state. It can be whatever it is, but it's more like living in an altered state from my default, or what I consider my default is when I'm, well fed, well slept, I have all my needs met, I'm sober, I'm sharp and aware, and we just call that our default state. But we don't all behave the same. We don't all experience the world the same. But we call that default state just being human. And I'm starting to fundamentally disagree about this idea of normality, of a default that's for everyone just because you're human. I think that we live in different states. And I'm going to make a strong distinction as an example. In my experience, I've been living in what I've called a self-mind state, an egocentric state as my default. I spend a lot of time in my mind. I spend a lot of time thinking about me. And it's not from a dangerously negative space of narcissism or being egocentric too much. It is in the amount of time I'm spending being self-aware enough to stay in this space and to investigate and to go, why? Why am I still behaving as I feel like I'm expected to, and not how I truly am at any given time? And it's that need for liberation. It's that need to be seen and be heard as my truth, not the perception of societal norms. People in today's society are expected to behave in a certain way, to think and react, respond, to feel in a certain way, within certain boundaries of acceptable behavior when we're out and about in public. But we're not like that when we know that we don't have anyone watching and we are allowed to just be ourselves. We all know this. But my level of awareness of this fact that we have our true selves, and we usually are our more authentic selves when we are happy, when we are in a high state, when we are around people who love us and we love them. And when you're around children, they have this, vibrance of youth and innocence, and it's before their sense of self sinks in and starts taking root and then starts taking command. And that is the battle that I've got within. I'm trying to help my ego and my mind let go and allow this avatar, Mark, allow him to just be who he wants to be. And the way I'm phrasing this, it's just like I'm trying to give myself permission to just be me, because I'm still trying to figure that out. Because me to the outside world is not a fair or truthful or just version. And I want the future to be more about honesty and truth, and therefore integrity. I don't want it to be about division. So my quest has always been to try and figure everything out, outside and in. So it leads me back to the current moment. I'm deciding to make an audio recording, add it to my playlist, and publish it as a way of creating the most authentic content that I can imagine, which are coming through as streams of conscious thought through self-awareness, self-discovery, and forms of self-love. It's a form of expression. I need to get stuff out because I'm not having a nice time going through this by myself. And the more I have conversation, don't get me wrong, I have lots of great people around me. It's just I am choosing to spend a lot of time alone because I feel a lot of discomfort, right? And that discomfort can be a lot of different things. There's shame in there. There's embarrassment in there. There's a fear. There's a scared little boy in there. So there are many qualities of discomfort that I've been sitting with and trying to deal with by myself. And it is draining. And it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the important thing is to try and break those patterns, to regain control of your life, of your experience, shake things up. So yeah, I have good people around me, but I choose to go at things alone, and I don't really want to do that. I just don't feel comfortable to go at things and investigate and to try and express whatever my experience is. I find it difficult to do that in public. Not just in public and broad, but in any form of public that's outside my bedroom. You know, that's how personal it feels. It feels like I can't truly be myself, even in my own living room, because I share with other people. And even making this recording, it's making me feel extremely self-conscious to speak truths. And that concept and realization alone is giving me fuel to believe, like, why is this so difficult? Why, not just is this difficult for me, but why could this be so difficult for a lot of people experiencing the same kind of thing, where they find it nearly impossible to express who they really are, let alone acknowledge glimpses of who they really are, or an overwhelming explosion of a need to be authentic, a need to be genuine. Society is calling for more of those things. So why is it so scary? And it leads me back to thinking about the boundaries, the box that we need to stay in. And it's these constructs of, I don't know, it feels like a construct, feels like a prison. And I've always opted to be free. Every time I think about writing down or documenting radical thoughts, it's like my self-management, my self-regulation system that society is inbuilt in all of us, in myself. It's reminding me, oh, you can't think like that. That's a dangerous way of thinking. Oh, you can't behave like that. That makes you feel foolish. Oh, it's all of these little stops, little obstacles. And it feels like there's just another me beside me, always pulling me back. Like, you can't go that, you can't go there, you can't say that, you can't do that. And it's so I want to be liberated from that feeling, that constant little annoyance. And it feels like I experience that on a regular basis. And the more that I become aware of that, I'm aware of these ways of thinking, these concepts of like a multiple personality almost, but you're just observing different aspect states that you might be in. And if you identify where they are, what they feel like, what they look like, give them a name, give them titles, give them a characteristic, give them a persona. And so through that process, you are able to just like identify your own self. And your own self is this concept of identity. And then you look into other aspects that you might be feeling. You might be trying to understand parts of yourself. And I keep repeating old stuff because I'm afraid to speak new truths. All the time I feel fear of judgment, fear of feeling foolish or shameful. I would rather try and ignore those feelings, those negative discomforts, and instead I'd rather try and resolve this so that it doesn't keep happening. I don't stay in this place. But in order to do that, I need to feel like I'm allowing myself to just come out and be more brave and just do the things that scare me. Push outside of my comfort zone. And so, yeah, I endeavor to do that. I believe I've come a long way, but I don't feel it. I don't really know what my expectations are. I think I'm having my feet on two different paths at all times. And that's not how we can get anywhere. We can't straddle our way through life. So I've never been, well, no, not never. I haven't been for a while all in on something as much as this project. This undertaking is a personal one and a universal one. I believe that whatever the hell I'm doing, it's helping me get all of this crazy stuff outside of my mind and look at it objectively, study it, track it, document it, get to know it, have conversations with these concepts, notions, still just within me, but I don't want it to just be within me. I want to talk about it because I see these things everywhere, and I haven't developed a language. Society hasn't developed languages enough to conversationally, openly talk about these concepts. My heart is going so fast. But that always happens, doesn't it? That always happens when we are vibrating in a higher frequency and we're buzzing. We're closer to truth. We're opening up. We're being authentic. We're being our true higher selves. And we don't want the association of being excessively high as to be in a drunken stupor, as to be chaotically insane. There's a frequency of association, of accusation, of fear. There's all this discomfort that's stopping me from just even thinking along lines that might challenge the status quo. It might be audacious. I need to start recording video and talk through what I mean, because I think it will really help, and I've been saying this for a while. I don't want to feel foolish. I don't want to feel embarrassed. But I think those things are kind of unavoidable and natural. And I should just feel them all the same as I feel everything else, and just allow them to be and do it anyway.